Hey, hello, friends. Today is lesson 53, and we are in the week of review. So, the review lessons are 11 through 15, and I'm going to read those first. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. I am upset because I see a meaningless world. A meaningless world engenders fear. God did not create a meaningless world. My thoughts are images that I have made. And so by reading those one after the other, you can kind of see that there is a flow that happens with these lessons. There is a purpose to all of these. So I'm going to read the lesson now. Number 1, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. Since the thoughts of which I am aware do not mean anything, the world that pictures them can have no meaning. What is producing this world is insane, and so is what it produces. Reality is not insane, and I have real thoughts as well as insane ones. I can therefore see a real world if I look to my real thoughts as my guide for seeing. Number 2, I am upset because I see a meaningless world. Insane thoughts are upsetting. They produce a world in which there is no order anywhere. Only chaos rules a world that represents chaotic thinking, and chaos has no laws. I cannot live in peace in such a world. I am grateful that this world is not real and that I need not see it at all unless I choose to value it. And I do not choose to value what is totally insane and has no meaning. Number 3, a meaningless world engenders fear. The totally insane engenders fear because it is completely undependable and offers no grounds for trust. Nothing in madness is dependable. It holds out no safety and no hope. But such a world is not real. I have given it the illusion of reality and have suffered from my belief in it. Now I choose to withdraw this belief and place my trust in reality. In choosing this, I will escape all the effects of the world of fear because I am acknowledging that it does not exist. Number 4, God did not create a meaningless world. How can a meaningless world exist if God did not create it? He is the source of all meaning and everything that is real in his mind. It is in my mind too, because he created it with me. Why should I continue to suffer from the effects of my own insane thoughts when the perfection of creation is my home? Let me remember the power of my decision and recognize where I truly abide. Number 5, my thoughts are images that I have made. Whatever I see reflects my thoughts. It is my thoughts that tell me where I am and what I am. The fact that I see a world in which there is suffering and loss and death shows me that I am seeing only the representation of my insane thoughts, and I'm not allowing my real thoughts to cast their beneficent light on what I see. Yet God's way is sure. The images I have made cannot prevail against him because it is not my will that they do so. My will is his, and I will place no other gods before him. It's very powerful when you can read these all in succession. And as I was reading through these and realizing that my made-up world creates chaos, the image that came to my mind was the gremlins. And if you've ever seen the Gremlin movie, when you feed them, when you give them water, when you feed them after dusk or midnight or whatever it is, they multiply and they become chaotic because they're not all sweet. They are engendering fear. And that is what happens with our insane thoughts. That's what happens with our made up, illusory, fearful thoughts is we think of one of them and then we feed it. We feed it with more thoughts of fear, with more thoughts of the illusions. And suddenly what was one little thought that we could just kind of go, okay, and put it away, becomes uncontrollable chaos, uncontrollable madness. And all we have to do to fix that is to decide for God. The other image that came to me when I was reading I Am Upset Because I See a Meaningless World. When my mom had heart surgery, she was in ICU for a period of time and she had a couple of complications. And so she stayed a little longer in ICU and she had what's known as ICU psychosis. She started hallucinating and she was this rational being and could have a full on conversation with me. And she looked at me and she said, "You know, I know that I'm in a hospital room, but this morning I was seeing me down in our neighbor's basement, and your brother told me that I was in the hospital room, but I looked around and what I saw was the hospital, the neighbor's basement." And she said she knew that she was wrong because that's what her son was telling her and he wouldn't lie, but she was still seeing very clearly a basement. And so when we look around, we are looking at the thoughts that are in our mind. And unfortunately, I think my mom had a great association with the neighbor's basements because it was a social setting for all of the neighborhood. But this, we often are putting out our fears and the separation from God rather than that connection and that love. And so, what we need to do is, as we collect this and realize that our thoughts are images that we made, God didn't create those. God isn't punishing us. God isn't telling us we're bad. God isn't condemning us to a world of hell. We are. And we just simply need to begin to choose differently and then look through the other eyes, look through vision rather than the sight of our fears. Okay. And now for Tina Spalding's A Year of Forgiveness and her channelings of Jesus. You are blessed beings indeed. I am that one that you know as Jesus. Of course, these reviews can cause some perplexing energy in the mind because they have less structure. They ask you to review them at your own pace, with your own emphasis and frequency. You have a little leeway in which to practice, and the previous lessons have illustrated the kinds of practice periods that benefit you. We would like you to use that as your model when you do these review lessons. You can pick a time at the beginning of the day when you first wake up, in the middle of the day, early evening, and perhaps before you go to bed. You can choose to repeat some of the lessons throughout the day. If you panic about when and how to do these lessons, we want you to think logically. There has been a flutter of upset around our dear one, Tina Spalding, over not having the exact lesson on the exact day. We would like those of you who have experienced this confusion and upset to take a look at how little the ego requires before it gets in a flutter. Clearly, if she's doing lesson 47 on day 46 or 48, it does not matter. Did you do lesson 46? Then the next lesson is number 47. Do not worry about the date. Do not worry what anybody else does. A Course in Miracles is a self-study practice. That means there may come a day when you might have hurt yourself, ended up in the hospital, and then come home, so 3 or 4 days passed before you completed a lesson. Do you panic? Do you worry what the other people around the world have done? No. If your last lesson was number 46, then go to number 47. You will not be able to stay on the corresponding day throughout the year. We guarantee that. Life interferes with things. Your mood interferes with things. The ego. You who belabor where our dear one is on the calendar, please stop. It doesn't help anyone. That is our lesson for you today. Do not belabor the date or the day. Just know that doing your lesson for today is all that counts. Pay attention to your own practice. Do not pay attention to anyone else's practice. Please do not nitpick at any small errors that might occur over the year. Let them go and focus on your own practice. I am the one that you know as Jesus, and it is important that you practice forgiveness with these small bumps in the road. A mind dedicated to finding fault can ruin the day. We will speak to you again tomorrow. Clearly, when she was doing this, there were some bumps in the road. And for those of you that have been watching this portion with me, you know that there have been bumps in the road. And I have done them on the appointed day, but I have not always done them at a consistent time. And I am working for me to do them at a consistent time. The other thing is, I have talked to many of you about what happens when I get 10 lessons in and then I stop for a week. And I think this answers that. If you have done 10 lessons or 40 lessons or 50 lessons and you fall off the wagon for a period of time, if you choose to review one or two, great, but otherwise move to the next lesson. This is not a pass fail. This is a everybody passes kind of a course. It doesn't mean that everybody takes and finishes this at the same time. Be kind with yourself. We are on a learning journey. And because we are on a learning journey, we are going to have days where things make sense and we have days that don't. Part of the review for today is about the meaningless world and the chaos that ensues. When we get caught up in timelines, we lose the meaning of what we're doing. When we get caught up in specifics and the tiny little details that really don't matter in the grand picture, we lose the focus, we lose the lesson in there. And so just be kind to yourself. And as we begin this day, realize that it's a day to begin again, whatever has been happening. And so if you have been missing days, you can go back and watch them. That's why there are so many recordings of these lessons by me and by others, is it gives you the opportunity to go back and review or do the ones that you have missed. As I look out at the beautiful, unbelievable sky today, I'm wishing you a miraculous morning and a miraculous rest of your week. Take care, guys. Bye.